Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to my studio. This is Natifa, and I'm very excited to be joining you all today in the studio because I am going to be playing with the new Stamptember stamp set. I guess by the time you guys see this video, it would have already been released. So hopefully you got a chance to pick one up for yourself. I was gifted this from Simon Says Stamp, and I just wanted to share with you guys me playing with a stamp set. So hopefully you guys got yourself one. But here is the name of the stamp, Stamptember 2023. So Simon Says Stamp, if you guys don't know them, they're an online retailer of different craft supplies, a whole lot of stuff. And they do Stamptember every September. And it's just a month-long celebration of like creativity and making all kinds of stamps, all the fun things that we all love. So this one is a Christmas one, and I'm going to make something with this. I have an idea in my head, but we'll see how it pans out. So I wanted to show you guys the stamp set, and here it is. It's got some sweaters, snowman, a wreath, all kinds of shenanigans on here. So good stuff. It also came with these two little stencils, which are stars, and I love stars, so I'm really thrilled with this. So I'm going to use these to create something, and we'll kind of go from there. The paper that I wanted to play with today was Distress Craft Heavy Stock, mostly because I want to use a technique that's more like, let me show you guys. It's kind of like this, where you can stamp the, hold on, let me see if it's focusing. Okay, you can stamp the image first, and then you stamp over the image with some Distress Oxide. I'm sorry, Distress Mica Stain. Do I have any here? Distress Mica Stain, and it just creates this like overlay of just beautiful color. So I love that. The one thing I have found with this is that I use this on this craft paper, the Distress Craft Heavy Stock. But I also used it on this other craft paper that I really love. I love the coloring of this one, but for some reason, sometimes this one on this paper, it bleeds. And so I would encourage you, if you're going to use this technique on craft paper or craft cardstock, to use the Distressed Craft Heavy Stock, because I have found that this one does not bleed onto the rest of the paper. Okay. All right, I have cut this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some stamping. So the idea that I have in my head for this one is I want to use the snowman, this sweater, and a portion of Santa's body for this. I am thinking that I want to build something like this, where the snowman is kind of wearing the sweater. We'll see. And just his head. And then I'm going to use, I think, Santa's feet as the foot of the snowman. So I'm going to build like a little, oh my gosh, that's really cute. I'm going to build like a little man here situation. So we're going to go for that and see what happens with that. So that's the plan right now. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but y'all just work with me on this one, okay? Alrighty. Let's see here. I'm going to stamp. I think I'm going to stamp I'm going to cut this down so I can make sure I have the right size for this one. I'll do this one last because it's kind of messy. And then I'm going to cut out or stamp my snowman first with some black ink. I hope this works. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to try it, you guys. All right. And I'm going to use some Distress. I'm using Distress Archival ink in Black Soot. There we go. And I always apologize for my desk being squeaky. So if you hear the squeaky desk of mine, I apologize because it really is squeaky. And I don't plan on getting another one because I love this desk because it is adjustable. And I like the height of this one, so. I really just need to focus on the head portion of it because that's all I'm going to need for this one. So I want to make sure it's very dark. Okay. So there's this one, and then I'm going to do Santa's feet. So I'm going to move this up here. Okay. And then I think for this one, okay, so initially I wanted to do like a stamping on here of this, and then I wanted to use a distressed mica stain for this one as well. But now I'm kind of reconsidering that idea. So let me think for a second, and then I'll decide if I want to go that route. I might just, I might color it, but, I think we're going to go for it. So I need to grab a distressed mica stain in a reddish color? I think a reddish color we're going to go for. 1 second, let me grab it. Okay, so I have grabbed Yuletide distressed mica stain. And we are going to do this. So the technique is just stamping your image with, let me make sure this is on here. Well, you want to make sure this is secure, okay, as best as you can. All right, and then we are going to stamp this . You want to stamp it really, really well. You want to make sure it has a great dark image. I do not recommend embossing this because it's not going to look the way it's supposed to look. At least the way I want it to look. So I'm trying to move everything out of the way because I'm going to be spraying this distress spray in a minute. Okay. Sometimes I can never tell if my ink pad needs more, like needs to be re-inked, or if it's just a stamp. I think it's just the stamp because I just re-inked this ink pad like last week. Okay, so I've stamped this. Now I'm going to take my distress spray and I'm going to do this kind of like lightly, okay? Not like, I'm not going to saturate it. All right, so I'm going to cover this up because I don't want any spraying situation to get on here. Any misting of that. So, all right. Hopefully this is ready. All right, so that's all I did. And then I'm going to move this. And I'm just going to stamp it. Very, very lightly. Don't push it down too much. Miss some on this side. Get that. Make sure it gets all of the little areas. And then you want to dry it as soon as you can with your heat gun, your heat tool. Don't be afraid to blot some up. I think my heat gun's on the verge of dying, y'all. Do you hear that? Okay. So that's what it looks like. It's kind of cute. I like it. So I like it because you can kind of see the red ink kind of like going out a little bit. It just kind of hits all the different like areas. Can you guys see this well? I'm not sure. Yeah, kind of shimmery. Okay. So that's good. Now I'm going to clean this one off a bit. Just to kind of get this. Let me try to do, I'm going to do something. Ooh, that's cute. Okay. You know, you don't want to waste your ink, so always find ways of like doing the things. All right, so I'm gonna build this this snowman. Make sure this is all dry. My hands are clean. I'm gonna cut this out first. Get a smaller scissors and cut this out a bit. Alrighty. I need to cut this part off too. Let's see here. There we go. And there we go. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing ever. It's so funny. I think it's the cutest thing, and I'm gonna create this. We're totally doing this. Let's see if my glue gun is going. We're totally doing this. Oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing ever. And I love it. I'm really in love with it. I think it's so funny. Okay, I just think it's funny how it just perfectly fits his head and his little feet. Oh my goodness, this is wild. All right, so we're gonna glue this down. Maybe. Look at that. I wonder if I could put Santa in this as well. Probably not. Okay. That's a little too much. Okay. I feel like I should have done his hat with some red. I might do his little the bucket on his head with red, whatever. Do it right down here so it's not too crazy. See, you guys. I think it's the cutest. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. It's like a little man. I should make an army of them. Okay. So that's the first step that we have here. This little guy. I needed to make sure this part worked because that was kind of the idea that I had for the whole entire thing. So I don't know what else I'm going to do now. I'm going to actually try to figure out how I want to put this together on something else and kind of go from there. I think I want to do his hat in some kind of color. I don't know yet. I've been on this like craft kick recently, like craft paper kick. I really am just loving the craft paper so much. So I don't know. I might leave it like that. We'll see. But I think it's the cutest. Okay. Let me think on some things and I'll be right back to figure out how we're going to put an envelope together. Okay, I think I'm going to create an envelope that's going to be the foundation for this. I'm going to use an 8.5 by 8.5 sheet of paper of cardstock, and again, you want to use, I'm using Distress Craft heavy stock paper. So 8.5 by 8.5. I think that's the size I want to go. I'm going to be using my envelope punch board. If you don't know how to use one of these, I have a video on my channel where I walk you through how to use it, because it can be kind of confusing sometimes. So don't get overwhelmed if you see this. You're like, what is this? Just go watch the video. I do a decent job, I think, of explaining it based on how I've taught myself how to use it. So I'm going to do envelope for a 4.5 by 6 envelope. And so I need to start out with 8.5 by 8.5 paper, and I'm going to score it now. So let's see, I need to start at 3 3/4. So I think then I want this to look something like in the middle. And I'm guessing I'm going to do something like some gifts on the sides and then something on the back. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, you guys. So honestly, I had to pause for a minute in making this and go to my son's soccer game. So I'm back and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do again. So what I thought I was going to do now is I got a different idea while I was out and about today. It was a long day, y'all. Soccer momming for tournament weekends is really, really long. So anyway, let's see. I'm going to try to do a reverse stamping here, because now what I want to try to do is to have this little snowman that we created. That's really bright. That we created. Kind of have a conversation with another snowman. So, so we're going to try something different. And so I'm going to try some reverse stamping. Let me grab some, not this one. I need black ink. I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to ink this really well. Okay. I'm going to put this on a stamping grid. Like that. This is one of Tim's stamping grid. Okay. Let me see if it's... Okay, we're going to go for this. I'm going to ink my ink pad because I want this to be super juicy. I want to make sure I have enough on here so we don't have any shenanigans. Even though I just inked this like the other day. I just want to make sure it's on there. And I'm going to use the edge of this to kind of make sure it's all over the place. And just wipe that off. I'm done with the wet baby wipe, and that's good. Okay. Now, I'm going to use this. I'm going to stamp this on here. Make sure it's super wet and juicy. Like super wet and juicy. Like it's like shiny. You can kind of see that. Okay. I'm going to stamp that on here really well. We're going to just go for it. And I'm going to stamp it over here on a piece of paper. Let me cut this down just to make sure. I'm going to put this up here so that doesn't move. All right, and then I'm going to try to stamp this down onto this. Oh gosh, it's lifting up. I think I might actually do a little bit of sketching on my own here with this to kind of make sure with a black marker or something like that, just to make sure it's let's see if I can find me a black marker. I'm going to try to do distress embossing. Okay, let me try to, I wonder if I should have used, I don't even know. I feel like, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm having a problem with like, should I just leave it as it is like this? Because I think it might work fine. It's not as dark as this one is, right? It's not as dark as this one, but it might just work. You know what I mean? Like, this might actually just work just fine. Because they're different. Okay, we're gonna just cut this out because I think I can't make them exactly the same because they're supposed to be different characters, right? And I'm going to try this again because if I did it one time, I wonder if I could just, if I added a lot of, I'm going to cut it out and just see. Okay, so I'm using my Posca marker in black, and I'm just going to, let's come down. I'm just going to try to use this marker to kind of create more, like a stronger line in this snowman. So I'm going to put this one next to it so I can kind of see what I'm doing. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm just trying to get the main shapes of it. So you will kind of see me, let's turn this up a bit so you can see what I'm doing. and hopefully it'll kind of be what we want it to be. So I'm going to start here and just sort of go so the idea is not to really get it exactly like the other one, because essentially this is two, at least in my story, these are two different snowmen. So while they look similar, and I'm trying to make this really sketchy, so it's like a sketch. His eyeball is a little bit bigger than that, and his, okay. So he's going to look a little bit different than his friend, because his friend is who is talking to him. And you go above this one a bit. That's looking pretty decent, I think. Yeah, it's looking darker. Okay. I think we're in. So just go really slowly with this one. Don't go too crazy with it. Because it truly can mess it up if it gets too kind of nuts or whatever. All right. So this one's kind of scratchy a little bit. So we're just going to follow those lines. I'm not adding too much additional inks to my snowman, like by pushing my pen down, because I want this to feel kind of sketchy. So I'm just sort of lightly kind of following these lines here a bit. Alrighty, I think we're looking pretty decent. I need to do my broom. Oh. What does that look like? This is his arm over here. He's got one. Holding the broom. I think. So it'll be on this side. There. That looks good. I like it. Okay, I need to cut this broom down a bit up here because it's looking a hot mess. And we don't want none of that over here. So now that I have a little bit more shape to it, I'm going to just cut this out. All right, so, wow, that was bright. Okay, so here we have the second snowman. Cool, right? Okay, so now it looks like this. And I'm still toying with if I want to give him some feet. I don't think so. I don't know. This is the funniest thing to me. I don't know why this is so funny to me, but I think this is good. I think this is a good kind of, you know, it's going to be a conversation between these two fellas. His two friends. And so I think what I want to do now is I need to figure out what's happening here in this scene. Are we going to have this scene going this way? Or kind of like this? Oops, you guys can't see that. Kind of like this. And then, or are we going to, or should I make this a card, like a panel card, and put this inside of it? And just decorate the outside of the envelope a little bit differently.